officially motivated to trade Elias Pettersson. And the reason is a massive wake-up call from Daniel Sedin. While Vancouver looks for a culture reset, a surprise trade destination has emerged that could change everything for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Today, we're breaking down the shocking comments that started this fallout and the blockbuster move that would see Petey join Crosby and Evgeny Malkin in Pittsburgh, and why Elliot Friedman thinks Pittsburgh is a good fit for Elias Pettersson. Let's dive right into this right now. Check it out. This comes to us from the Daily Hive, Rob Williams to be in fact. And he starts off with the headline, Are the Penguins a potential Elias Pettersson trade partner for the Canucks? Now let's dive into the comments from Daniel Sedin that we talked about. We've been through this as players, exactly what he's been through. You're going to have some really good seasons. You're going to have some tougher seasons. What we found after a long career, looking back, is that the best seasons we had, we were well prepared. That is everything you can control is how hard you work in the summer, mentally ready to go when training camp hits. So I think that's the one message to him is preparation. Something we have heard talked about so much when it comes to Elias Pettersson is preparation. It's something that Jim Rutherford has spoken about. It's something that Patrick Allvin has spoken about. And now the Sedins are saying one message to him is preparation. So those are the surprising comments from Daniel Sedin back in May when they were introduced as the co-presidents of hockey operations. Now, the Sedins were, of course, famously the most well-conditioned players on their team, so you can understand if coming to camp out of shape would irk them. And can you change the culture with your highest paid player not being willing to put in the work? Now, Canucks management wanting to trade Pettersson is just one piece of the puzzle here, though, as we all know, Petey has a full no movement clause in his contract, and he would, of course, have to waive for a trade to go through. Then there's the problem of his contract. Pettersson has 5 years left on a deal that pays him $11.6 million a year. That's quickly becoming less of a problem now, of course, with the salary cap going up. And of course, as we talked about the last couple of days, Leo Carlsson's getting paid $18 million. So it's making what Petey's making look like chump change, basically. It's basically making Petey look like an actual second-line center, and he's getting paid as such. Now, with the salary cap going up, as we mentioned, players' salaries are beginning to skyrocket, as we just mentioned with the Leo Carlsson stuff. Now, the LA Kings seemed like a natural landing spot, and we talked a lot about Pettersson. Could he have a fit in LA? His wife knows LA. Perhaps she might like LA, and especially even more so after the retirement of Anze Kopitar. But they've already spent their money in free agencies, so they'd have to move money out to fit Pettersson in. So I really don't think LA is a potential landing spot anymore. We've talked about the Carolina Hurricanes in the past, and the fact that they were interested in Pettersson. We even heard the rumor that the Canucks were maybe wanting a package involving Marty Necas while he was still with the Hurricanes. Now they seem pretty set up the middle now. And do they really even still want him now that they've won the Stanley Cup? They're set up the middle with Aho, Stankoven, and Jordan Staal. But what about Pittsburgh? It's not a team that many have brought up before. I think it was back in September that Jeff Merrick kind of threw out the idea of Petey going to Pittsburgh. But the Penguins were a team that Elliot Friedman openly wondered about on Monday's edition of the 32 Thoughts podcast. I wonder if the Penguins with Crosby and Malkin might be good for him, Friedman said. Crosby and Malkin are each entering the final years of their respective contracts, so retirement may not be far away. If Pettersson figures it out in Pittsburgh, they might just have an immediate succession plan at center, especially if Crosby and Malkin were to retire. Now, Pittsburgh was the surprise team of the NHL last season, as we know. They entered the season as a rebuilding team, but ended up actually making the playoffs with a young team surrounded by key veterans. Now, here's a little wrinkle, and what makes maybe Pittsburgh, an interesting option for the PD. They signed Andrei Kuzmenko this past offseason as a free agent, he's making about $5 million. Could that maybe lure Elias Pettersson to waiving his no movement clause, depending on what the return is, to go to Pittsburgh? Would that make him want to go there? Because his buddy Andrei Kuzmenko is there. Granted, it's only a 1-year deal for Kuzmenko, but would that be appealing to Pettersson to go to Pittsburgh, reunite with Andrei Kuzmenko? Now, as we know, Petey showed great chemistry with Andrei Kuzmenko. Pettersson put up his career high 102 points with Kuzmenko on his wing. Could they maybe relive some of that magic? Now, the Pens also have over $16 million in cap space. Time will tell if the Penguins are willing to give up significant future assets for Pettersson and if he'd be willing to waive his no-movement clause to go to Pittsburgh. But it does seem like there's a good chance he will get traded somewhere. And like we said up, at the top, the Canucks are motivated to move off of Petey's contract. But let's actually take a look at this article over on Canucks Army that kind of has more quotes from Elliotte Friedman. Let's share this instead. Here's the full quote from Elliotte Friedman on 32 Thoughts. Here's another one I've wondered about, and that is Pettersson, Elias Pettersson from the Canucks. And remember, he has control, but look, he's got to play better. And that 11.6, everyone's been talking about that, I know, but again, the ground has shifted here in a huge way with NHL salaries. I've sat there and I said, where could he go that could be good for him? I don't know. I wonder if the Penguins with Crosby and Malkin might be good for him. Friedman said before saying he believes a change of scenery for Pettersson has to happen. Later in the episode, Friedman added more on Pettersson. We talked about Pettersson. I think he's got 6 more years. Does what happened with salaries change the conversation for him? We talked about Pittsburgh earlier. He has to agree to this, but I think we all feel he needs a change of scenery. And I just think these kinds of things will happen with time, that more of the players who have long-term contracts, they'll be available. And when Canucks GM Ryan Johnson gets what he wants and they agree to it, because all of them have some degree of protection, they'll move on. Like, you still need some veterans to play with your kids, to shield them, to help them. But I think we can see what's happening in Vancouver. I don't think they have any specific plans for here on in, but they will do things to help not jeopardize the rebuild. Now, furthermore, there's a tweet from JFresh Hockey, who is well, connected in Pittsburgh. And a lot of people are looking at the reply from The Athletic's Josh Yeo, who, as this article says, is also very plugged in when it comes to Pittsburgh. So here's JFresh's tweet. I also feel like the holdup could be on Pettersson's end. He has to waive his no-move clause. Back at the end of the season, Dubas literally had a line about how Pittsburgh is a great destination for a player in their late 20s with a no-trade clause. It might be tougher to pitch the idea to Pettersson than it would be to Vancouver. Here's the quote. I think if you're one of those players that's a free agent or your situation in your spot is not going well and you have some control, you can look at us and see very clearly that you're going to be supported by a great coaching staff that gets the most out of players, Dubas said. But you'll also have young players that are going to push from behind and older players that are going to set the tone. And look at this response from Josh Yeo. Ding, ding, ding. Interesting. Read into that however you want, but it is very intriguing to see him reply to JFresh's tweet with that. So maybe there's some smoke there. Who knows? But on that note, let's actually take a look at Pittsburgh's Puckpedia page and their cap. As we outlined, they have just under $17 million in cap space. Obviously, Sidney Crosby, $8.7 million for this year. And then, of course, he's a UFA in 27-28. You got Igor Chinnikov, who was just signed to a 6.2. That goes until 29-2030. Malkin has 1 year left, as we mentioned. $5.5 million. He also has a no-move clause. So does Crosby. Brian Rust has 2 years left of a 5.125 cap hit. Raquel, $5 million for the next 2 years. Thomas Novak, 3.5 until next season. Connor Dewar, 2.25 for the next 2 years. Not too bad, but let's take a look at the defense here. Obviously, right there, Erik Karlsson, $10 million right there for the next season. He will be a UFA in 27-28. You got Chris Letang tied up for the next 2 years at 6.1. And of course, he also has a no-move clause. So does Erik Karlsson. Samuel Girard is making $5 million for this year. Then he will be a UFA in 27-28. 4.5 for Ryan Graves for the next 3 seasons. Trevor Van Riemsdyk, $4 million for the next 2 years before he's a UFA in 28-29. Caden Korzak, 3.25 until 29-2030. Declan Carlisle, 1.5 for the next 2 years, and then he is a UFA. Of course, as we know, Artur Silovs signed a 1-year deal with the Pittsburgh Penguins, $2.8 million, so he gets a nice pay raise. He will be a RFA in 27-28, and he will be arbitration eligible, and then he will be a UFA in 28-29. So that is the Pittsburgh's cap situation. I do like the idea of him going to Pittsburgh. I do think it would be nice for him to go to Pittsburgh. He'd probably be second line center, obviously behind Crosby, and just having him be around Crosby might be good, as well as Malkin, as well as Karlsson too. Karlsson, they're both Swedes, so maybe, and again, like what Elliot Friedman mentioned, just a change of scenery. But of course, a lot of Canucks fans are probably wondering, what is he worth? What could the Canucks get back from Pittsburgh? Now, I was watching Canucks Conversation earlier today, and Harman Dial, friend of the podcast, friend of the show, mentioned that the Canucks can't take anything less than a first-round pick or something to that equivalent, i.e. like Will Horkoff, for example, who was Pittsburgh's 24th overall pick in last year's draft. That type of package is what the Canucks should be looking at, but the question is, will Pittsburgh even offer that? And Harman thinks that if the Penguins offer anything less than that, the Canucks should just say no and keep Pettersson. Now, Pittsburgh does have all of their first-round picks over the next 3 years, one of each. So it's not like they don't have first-round picks, because they do, but that is what Harman Dial thinks the Canucks should be looking at when it comes to a trade package and a trade return. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What should the trade package be if Pittsburgh is really interested in Elias Pettersson, and what could the Canucks maybe get in return? And do you think he would actually work well in Pittsburgh, especially when Crosby decides to finally hang the skates up? Who knows at this point when he will call it quits? The guy is aged like fine wine. He can still go. Let me know down below what you guys think in the comments. And as always, if you guys enjoyed this video, you can hit that like button, subscribe to the Line Change for more Canucks, NHL, and off-season related content. You can also become a member of the Line Change by smashing that join button. And now, a quick and important message from our friends over at DraftKings. It all came down to it, a best-of-6 battle that saw the Carolina Hurricanes emerge as the Stanley Cup champions. Now, as we enter the offseason, DraftKings has you covered every step of the way. The DraftKings Sports app is now available in all 50 states and includes all markets. Sweat every shift of the series all in one place with one app. New DraftKings customers sign up with code THPN, spend $5 to get $200 in rewards within 21 days. That's code THPN in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Bet with DK Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, that text pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Void in Ontario. Event contract trading with DraftKings predictions involves risk of loss. Sportsbook bonus bets expire in 7 days. $50 in predictions dollars issued weekly for 3 weeks expire in 1 year. Redeem one non-withdrawable reward. Availability varies. Predictions offer void in New York. Ends June 28. Terms at dkng.co/audio.
Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.